The drawing was still hanging in the kitchen. That's the detail that will stay with you. Not the missing person report, not the abandoned car, not the 19 years of silence. The drawing. A child's crayon sketch on construction paper. 4 stick figures in a row, a house behind them, a sun with 8 lines coming off it. And underneath, in the careful handwriting of a 5-year-old girl who was just learning her letters, Mommy, Daddy, Connor, Lily. She misspelled Connor's name. She was 5. She did her best. The drawing had been framed. Claire Morrison had it framed herself, took it to a craft store, picked out a simple white frame, hung it on the wall between the refrigerator and the window. She thought it was the most beautiful thing she'd ever seen. That was in January 2003. By April of the same year, Claire Morrison had vanished. March 28, 2003, Portland, Oregon. Claire Morrison is 35 years old, married for 12 years to Nathan Morrison, a civil engineer, mother of 2, Connor, age 7, and Lily, age 5. She works part-time as an administrative coordinator for a pediatric dentistry practice. She has brown hair she keeps in a ponytail most days. She drives a gray Honda Accord. She coaches Lily's Saturday morning soccer team. By every external measurement, Claire Morrison has a good life. She is, by all accounts, present, attentive, a hands-on mother who packs lunches with notes inside, who reads 2 books a night at bedtime, one for Connor, one for Lily, even when she's exhausted, who shows up. Nathan would say this later, to police, to family, to anyone who asked. She was a great mother. That's what I don't understand. She was a great mother. On the morning of Friday, March 28th, Claire tells Nathan she's going away for the weekend, a girls' trip. Her college friend Dana has rented a cabin near Bend. 4 women, 3 days, no kids, no husbands. Nathan encourages her. You need it, he says. You've been running on empty. She packs a bag Friday morning. She kisses Nathan at the door. She goes to Lily's room first. Lily is still in bed and tucks the blanket up under her chin and says, I'll be home Sunday, baby. Love you to the moon. Then Connor's room. Connor is already awake, already in his dinosaur pajamas, already asking if he can have cereal. She says yes. She hugs him for a long time, longer than usual. He squirms. She lets go. She picks up her bag. She walks out the front door. She never comes back. Sunday comes. No Claire. Nathan calls her cell phone. Goes to voicemail. He calls Dana. Dana says, What cabin? We didn't plan any trip. Nathan calls the other friends. Nobody planned a trip. Nobody spoke to Claire that week. Nobody knew anything about Bend. He sits on the kitchen floor for a while after that. He's not sure how long. Then he calls the police. Portland Police Department opens a missing persons case for Claire Morrison on Monday, March 31st, 2003. They find her car 3 days later. Long-term parking, Portland International Airport. 3rd level, row C. The car is locked. Her overnight bag is in the trunk, packed, full. She walked away from her own luggage. They pull airport records. No Claire Morrison flies out of PDX on March 28th, 29th, or 30th. No flight under her name on any Oregon airport. No rental car. No hotel check-in. No credit card use after 9:47 a.m. on March 28th. A gas station on Northeast Sandy Boulevard, 3 miles from the Morrison home. After that gas station, Claire Morrison ceases to exist in any official record. The investigation goes where these investigations always go. They look at Nathan first. That is standard. That is protocol. Nathan submits to interviews, polygraphs, full access to their finances, their phone records, their computers. He is cooperative in the way only truly innocent people or truly skilled liars are cooperative. Investigators ultimately clear him. They look at the marriage. Nathan admits quietly that things had been difficult. Claire had been seeing a therapist, a Dr. Walsh in the Pearl District, for about 8 months prior to her disappearance. Anxiety, low mood, a feeling she described to Dr. Walsh, according to records later obtained with a warrant, as, like I'm watching my own life from the outside. They look at the finances. 3 days before she vanished, Claire withdrew $9,000 in cash from their joint savings account. Nathan didn't know. $9,000 in cash. And then she was gone. Police form a theory. They don't share it publicly. But within the department, the working hypothesis becomes Claire Morrison left voluntarily. Mental health struggles. Financial withdrawal suggests planning. Fabricated trip to create a window. The secondary theory, she's dead. Suicide. Body not recovered. Nathan refuses both theories, loudly, consistently, for years. She wouldn't leave the kids. Whatever was happening with her, she would not leave those children. I know that. Connor is 7 when his mother disappears. Old enough to understand that something is wrong. Old enough to ask questions Nathan doesn't know how to answer. Lily is 5. She understands that Mommy was supposed to come home Sunday and didn't. On the Thursday after Claire vanished, Lily asks Nathan to keep the drawing up on the kitchen wall. When Mom comes home, she'll want to see it. Nathan says okay. He keeps it up. For 19 years, that drawing stays on the wall. That's what we know about what was lost. Now let me tell you about what was found. Because what happens next, 19 years later, is something I don't think you're ready for. Nathan Morrison does not move on. That phrase, move on, gets used a lot around people who've lost someone, as though grief has a schedule, as though love has an expiration. Nathan hears it often in the months after Claire disappears, from well-meaning friends, from family, eventually from a grief counselor the kid's school recommends. At some point, Nathan, for the sake of Connor and Lily, he understands what they're saying. He just can't do it. In 2004, 1 year after Claire vanishes, Nathan quietly hires a private investigator. His name is Alan Scott, former Portland PD, mid-50s. Careful, not cheap. Nathan doesn't tell Connor and Lily. They are 8 and 6. He doesn't want to raise their hopes. He doesn't want to explain what a private investigator is. He pays Alan Scott out of money he'd been saving for a family vacation. Alan Scott spends 7 months on the case. He is thorough. He interviews Dana and the other friends again. He talks to Dr. Walsh, who cannot share session content, but confirms Claire had been struggling. He looks at the cash withdrawal, traces it to a branch on SE Division Street. He checks bus records, Greyhound manifests, motels in rural Oregon, Washington, Idaho. He checks Jane Doe cases in 4 states. He finds nothing. He calls Nathan in November 2004 with that conclusion. She either left and hid herself exceptionally well, or she's gone. I don't know which. I'm sorry. Nathan pays him in full, files the reports in a manila envelope, puts the envelope in the bottom drawer of the filing cabinet in his home office. He does not tell anyone he hired Alan Scott for the next 18 years. Time does what time does. Connor grows up. He plays baseball through middle school, drops it in high school, picks up guitar instead. He is quiet and careful, like Nathan. He asks about his mother sometimes, less as he gets older, not because he cares less, but because he learns that the asking hurts Nathan in a way that doesn't heal. Lily grows up differently. Lily talks about her mother, openly, often, to therapists, to friends, to anyone who asks, and some people who don't. She keeps a box under her bed, photos of Claire, a birthday card Claire signed when Lily turned 5, a lip gloss she found in Claire's old coat pocket when Nathan finally, years later, donated the coats. She is not morbid. She is just a daughter who refuses to let her mother be a ghost. "I need her to be real," Lily tells a therapist at 16. "If I stop keeping her real, it's like she died. And I don't know that she died." The drawing stays on the wall. In 2009, when Lily is 11, she is assigned a school project about family history. She asks Nathan to help her fill in a family tree. They get to Claire's side, and Lily asks about Claire's parents, her grandparents. Nathan realizes he has almost no information. Claire had been estranged from her family since before they married. She never talked about her childhood. He'd always respected that, never pushed. Now, trying to help an 11-year-old fill in a family tree, he realizes he doesn't know where Claire grew up. He knows she said Ohio, but that's all. No city, no family names, no stories from before she was 23. He mentions this to Alan Scott when he reconnects with the PI briefly in 2009. Alan Scott is quiet for a moment. "Nathan," he says carefully, "I didn't mention this in my original report because I couldn't verify it, and I didn't want to cause more pain. But when I was searching for Jane Doe records, I ran a background check on Claire Morrison's history before Portland, before you, before Oregon. Her records before 1994 are thin, almost nothing. No school records, no employment history. It's not impossible, it's just unusual." Nathan doesn't know what to do with that. He files it the way he files everything he can't solve, carefully, in the bottom drawer, in the dark. 2015, 12 years after Claire disappeared. Nathan has a minor health scare, nothing serious, a shadow on a routine chest scan that turns out to be nothing. But it makes him think about paperwork, about what would happen to Connor and Lily if something happened to him. He goes through his filing cabinet for the first time in years. He finds the Alan Scott reports. He reads them again. The detail about Claire's thin pre-1994 records sits differently now. He is 52 years old, 12 years removed from the worst week of his life, and he is reading a PI's report that suggests his wife of 12 years might not have been who she said she was. He calls Alan Scott. Alan Scott has retired, but he gives Nathan a number for someone who can do modern digital research, social media tracers, DNA matching, facial recognition tools that exist now and didn't in 2004. Nathan writes the number down. He does not call it. He's not sure he's ready for what he might find. He thinks about Lily, about her box under the bed, about the drawing on the kitchen wall. He thinks about what a different answer would do to his children. He puts the number in the envelope with Alan Scott's reports. He puts the envelope back in the bottom drawer. He does not call. Nathan Morrison dies in September 2021. He is 63 years old, stage 4 pancreatic cancer. He has 4 months from diagnosis to death. Connor is 26. Lily is 23. They are with him at the end, both of them. He does not tell them about the envelope. Maybe he ran out of time. Maybe he couldn't find the words. Maybe, in those final weeks, he decided that some things should be left alone. Or maybe, and this is the theory Connor lands on later when he's had time to think, Nathan was protecting them one last time, the way he'd been protecting them their whole lives. Whatever the reason, he takes the envelope secret to the hospice bed. 3 weeks after Nathan's death, Connor is going through the filing cabinet. The envelope is not hidden. It's just in the bottom drawer, under a folder marked Insurance. Connor almost skips it, but it's thick, and it has Alan Scott's name and a phone number on the outside in Nathan's handwriting. Connor sits on the floor of his father's home office and reads every page. It takes him about 40 minutes. He reads slowly. He reads it twice. The $9,000 cash withdrawal, the fabricated girls' trip, the car at the airport with the packed bag left behind, the therapist's notes about Claire feeling like she was watching her own life from outside, Alan Scott's observation about the thin pre-1994 records, and at the back, that phone number, dated 2015, never called. Connor sits with the documents for a long time. Then he calls Lily. "I need you to come over," he says. "I've found something." Lily comes over. She reads the documents. When she finishes, she says very quietly, "She had $9,000. She planned it. She left on purpose." "That's what it looks like," Connor says. Lily doesn't say anything else for a while. Then, "Dad knew. He knew this whole time and he never told us." "He was protecting us, Lily." "I know," she says. "I know he was." She is quiet again. "I still wish he'd told me." Here's what you need to understand about where this story goes next. Connor and Lily now know their mother left on purpose. That is devastating. But it's still theory. It's still a 20-year-old cold case built on circumstantial evidence. They don't know where she went. They don't know if she's alive. And then Connor posts a photo on a Facebook cold case group, and everything breaks open. Connor spends 2 weeks researching how people disappear and reappear. He learns things he didn't know. He learns that building a new identity is easier than it sounds, especially if you started before the digital age made everything traceable. A new name, a new city, a cash economy. In 2003, before facial recognition was ubiquitous, before every database was cross-referenced, before social media made anonymity nearly impossible, in 2003, if you were determined and careful, you could become someone else. You could do it for a long time. You could do it for 19 years. Connor contacts a digital researcher, not the number from Alan Scott's envelope, which is now 2 decades old, but a modern equivalent, a woman named Victoria Reed, who specializes in cold case facial recognition and DNA genealogy. Victoria asks for 3 things: a clear photo of Claire, a DNA sample from a biological relative, and patience. Connor has all 3. He provides a high-resolution scan of Claire's teacher's license photo. Claire had a teaching credential she'd never used, but the license was on file with the state, and the photo was still in the system. He provides a cheek swab from himself. He waits. While Victoria does her work, Connor does his own. He posts Claire's photo, the teacher's license photo, cropped and brightened, to 3 Facebook cold case groups. Over 200,000 combined members. People who do this work because they believe that cold cases deserve attention, that missing people deserve to be found. He writes a simple caption: Claire Morrison, missing from Portland, Oregon since March 2003. Age 35 at disappearance, would be 54 today. If you have any information, please message this page. He doesn't expect much. 20-year-old cases rarely generate leads. The post gets 847 shares in the first week. Then it slows. Then it seems to stop. 23 days after the post, Connor gets a message. The message is from a woman named Tracy Fraser. She lives in Tacoma, Washington. She teaches elementary school. The message says, "Hi, I saw this photo in one of the cold case groups, and I wasn't sure if I should message you. I might be wrong. I really might be wrong. but I take yoga classes at a studio in Seattle on Tuesday and Thursday evenings. The instructor has been there for about 6 years. She goes by Rebecca Hart. I've seen her probably 100 times, and that photo, I keep looking at it. That looks like her face. The bone structure especially. She's older now, obviously, but I keep looking at it. I could be wrong. Please don't do anything drastic. I just thought someone should know. Connor reads the message at 11:45 p.m. He sits very still. Then he calls Lily. She might be in Seattle, he says. The next morning, Connor contacts the Portland Police Department's cold case unit. He also contacts the King County Sheriff's Office in Washington. He provides the Facebook message, Claire's original missing persons case number, and everything from Alan Scott's reports. Portland cold case detectives retrieve Claire Morrison's original fingerprints from her teaching license application. Fingerprints are kept on file indefinitely. King County locates a Rebecca Hart who teaches yoga at a studio in the Capitol Hill neighborhood of Seattle. They run her name against state records. A Rebecca Hart with a driver's license issued in Washington state in 2007. Social Security number attached to that identity traces back to a birth certificate filed in New Mexico in 1969. The New Mexico birth certificate is for a Rebecca Ann Hart. The certificate is real. It belongs to a real person, a woman who died in infancy in 1969. The identity was borrowed. King County brings Claire's fingerprints to the yoga studio on a Wednesday morning before classes start. A detective asks the studio manager if Rebecca Hart is available. Rebecca Hart comes out of the back office. The detective takes her hand gently under the guise of a handshake. The fingerprint match comes back in 48 hours. It is a perfect match. Rebecca Hart is Claire Morrison. On a Thursday afternoon in May 2022, 2 King County detectives knock on the door of a one-bedroom apartment in the Mount Baker neighborhood of Seattle. The woman who answers is 54 years old. She has gray threaded brown hair, cut short. She's wearing running clothes. There is a succulent on the windowsill behind her, a bookshelf along one wall, a yoga mat rolled by the door. She looks at the detectives. The detectives look at her. "Are you Claire Morrison?" one of them asks. "Formerly of Portland, Oregon?" There is a pause that one of the detectives later describes as about 4 seconds, but it felt much longer. Then the woman says, "Yes." Just that. Yes. One word. No performance of surprise, no denial, just yes. As though some part of her has been waiting for this knock for 19 years. As though some part of her is, maybe, almost relieved. Claire agrees to speak with detectives voluntarily. She is not charged with any crime. In the United States, an adult has the legal right to disappear. She did not fake her own death. She filed no false reports. She committed identity fraud to obtain the Rebecca Hart documents, which is a federal crime. But investigators are focused on establishing identity first. The question of charges comes later, and ultimately, no criminal charges are pursued. Over 2 hours of interviews, Claire tells her story. She tells it plainly, no dramatics, no self-pity, carefully, precisely, the way someone tells a story they've been rehearsing in their own head for a very long time. "I was 35 years old," she says. "I had been 35 years old for exactly 4 months. And I was sitting in the parking lot of a Walgreens on a Tuesday afternoon, and I was waiting for a prescription, and I was listening to a song on the radio. I don't remember what song. And I thought, I have made every decision in my life according to what other people needed from me. I married at 22 because Nathan asked. I moved to Portland because it was closer to his work. I had Connor because it was time. I had Lily because Connor should have a sibling. I have never once in my entire adult life asked myself what I actually want. And I thought, I cannot breathe. I haven't been able to breathe for years, and no one knows that, and I don't know how to tell anyone. I started planning it that afternoon, not consciously at first, just thinking, what if? What if I just didn't? What if I got on a bus and got off somewhere nobody knew me? What if I just started over? Started from the actual beginning, not the beginning that everyone else decided for me. The therapy was, I tried. Dr. Walsh was good, but she kept asking me to find ways to communicate with Nathan, to rebuild the connection, to do the work. And I kept thinking, the problem isn't Nathan. Nathan is a good man. The problem is that I need to not be this person, not this wife, not this mother, not this version of Claire. And there's no therapeutic framework for that. So I took the money, and I went to the airport, and I sat in my car in long-term parking for 4 hours, and I waited to see if I would change my mind. I thought, if I can't get out of this car, then I stay. If I can get out of this car, then I go. I got out of the car. Detectives asked Claire the question she has clearly been expecting. Your children have been looking for you. Your son Connor spent a year investigating this case. Do you want to see them? Claire is quiet for a long time. No, she says. Not because I don't. I want to be precise about this. Not because I don't think about them. I think about them every day. I thought about them when Connor was 7, and I imagined him playing baseball. I thought about them when Lily was 10, and I imagined her doing whatever 10-year-old girls do that I loved when she was 5. I thought about them on every birthday I didn't call, every Christmas, every morning of every year. Then, because going back doesn't fix anything, because I can't be their mother now. I have not been their mother for 19 years. I am Rebecca Hart, and Rebecca Hart is a real person. She runs, she reads, she has students she cares about. And if I go back to being Claire Morrison, I am pretending that person doesn't exist, and she does. She's the only person I've ever actually chosen to be. And because... She pauses, and for the first time in the interview, something shifts behind her eyes. If I see them, and I can see them clearly in my mind, and they ask me to come home, I won't be able to say no. And if I go home, I'll suffocate again. And I can't do that again. I know how cruel that sounds. I live with that cruelty every single day. But I cannot unsay it. Now I need to tell you about the drawing, because this is the moment in this story that I think breaks something. Pay attention to this part. Connor is notified by detectives the morning after Claire's interview. We found her. She's alive. She's been in Seattle. She's been living under a different name. Connor is at work. He is a project coordinator for a nonprofit in Portland. He sits down on the floor of the hallway outside his office, between the copier and the vending machine, and he doesn't get up for about 15 minutes. He calls Lily. Lily cries, not quietly. She sits in her car in the parking lot of the hospital where she works as a nurse, and she cries loudly, the way people cry when they've been holding something for 19 years. She's alive, Lily says, over and over. She's alive. I knew she was alive. Lily, I knew it. I always knew it. The drawing. Mom always said she'd... She stops. She remembers something. Is she coming home? She doesn't want to see us, Connor says. Lily stops crying. She gets very quiet. What? Connor asks the detectives to relay a question to Claire. One question. Does she remember the drawing? The one Lily made? The stick figures? She had it framed, the detectives ask. Claire says yes, she remembers it. Connor wants to know if she'd want it, if he could send it to her. Claire's answer comes back within an hour. Tell him no. That drawing was for Claire Morrison's kitchen. This is Rebecca Hart's life. I can't have that drawing here. When Connor tells Lily what Claire said, Lily doesn't respond right away. Then she says, she remembered it. She knew exactly what he was talking about. She just doesn't want it. Connor doesn't say anything. I was 5, Lily says. I wrote her name wrong. I was 5 years old and I drew that for her because I wanted to do something nice for my mom and she... Her voice breaks, steadies, and she doesn't want it. She chose not to come home, and she still chooses it. After all of this, she still chooses it. There is nothing Connor can say to that. There is nothing anyone can say to that. Nathan Morrison kept that drawing on the kitchen wall for 19 years. He knew, or suspected, that Claire left on purpose. He had Alan Scott's reports. He had the unexplained pre-1994 records. He had, probably, a quiet corner of his mind where he knew. And he still kept the drawing on the wall. Every single day. For 19 years. Because Lily had asked him to. Because when Lily was 5 years old, she said, "When Mom comes home, she'll want to see it." And Nathan couldn't take that away from her. He died without telling his children any of it, without telling Lily that the drawing was probably never going to bring Claire back. Without telling Connor about the envelope in the bottom drawer. He let them keep hoping. Maybe that was mercy. Maybe that was its own kind of cruelty. Maybe it was both. This story does not give you clean answers. Connor posts on social media 2 days after the notification. He doesn't name the city. He doesn't name the identity Claire used. He doesn't post her new address or her workplace. He is careful in the way he has always been careful. He writes, "We found her. She's alive. She left on purpose 19 years ago. She doesn't want to see us. I don't know how to process that. I don't know if I'm allowed to be angry. I don't know if anger is even the right word for what I'm feeling. She was alive this whole time. She could have called. She didn't. She chose not to. I grew up thinking my mother might be dead. She was living her life in another city. I grew up watching my dad put a drawing on the wall every year because my little sister asked him to. He kept it up until he died. He knew, I think, or suspected. He never said. What do I do with that? What do any of us do with any of this? The post gets 200,000 shares in 48 hours. The internet, as the internet does, immediately and violently disagrees with itself. Some people call Claire Morrison a monster. You don't leave children, full stop. There is no mental health crisis, no trapped feeling, no therapy failure that justifies abandoning a 7-year-old and a 5-year-old. No excuse, no redemption. She is a coward and a monster, and she should have to answer for it. Some people call Claire Morrison a survivor. We live in a world that consumes mothers. We hand women children and houses and other people's needs, and we call it a life. And when they struggle, we say, get therapy, do the work, communicate better. She tried. She couldn't breathe. She chose herself. Is that wrong? Is it wrong the way we're saying it is? Some people focus on Nathan. He knew. He kept the drawing up anyway. He let his kids hope. Is that beautiful, or is that a lie? Both? You can't unknow what you know. You can choose what you do with it. Some people focus on Lily. She waited 19 years. She believed. She had a box under her bed. She kept the drawing as a symbol. And the answer she got, after 19 years of waiting, is, your mother doesn't want to see you. That is the answer. That is what she got. Nobody agrees. Nobody can agree. That's the thing about this story. It refuses to let you settle. Lily Morrison is 24 years old when she finds out her mother is alive and doesn't want to see her. She goes to work the next day. She takes care of her patients. She drives home. She makes dinner. Then she goes to her room. She gets the box out from under the bed. The photos, the birthday card, the lip gloss from the coat pocket. She sits with it for a long time. Then she goes to the kitchen. She takes the drawing off the wall, the construction paper drawing in the white frame, the one she made when she was 5 years old, the one she asked her father to keep up, the one that stayed there through everything. She holds it for a while, then she puts it on the shelf in her room, next to the box, not thrown away, not destroyed, not sent to Seattle, just moved, just placed in a spot where she can see it and decide every single day what it means to her. Not what it means to Claire, to her. Lily gives one public statement, short, through Connor's social media account. I drew that picture when I was 5. I misspelled my brother's name. I was trying to draw love, and I didn't have the vocabulary yet, so I used crayons. I kept that drawing on the wall for 19 years because I believed she would come home and want to see it. She didn't come home. She doesn't want to see it. That's the answer I got. I'm 24 years old, and I know how to carry things that don't have answers. I learned from watching my dad. He carried it his whole life, and he never once let us see how heavy it was. That's my inheritance. Knowing how to hold something that has no resolution. I don't forgive her. I don't not forgive her. I don't know what I do with her. I know I'm still here. I know the drawing is still real. I know I loved her. I think I still love her, whoever she is now. I think that love doesn't actually need her to come home. I think it never did. I think it just needed somewhere to live. So I'm going to let it live in me. The last known update on Claire Morrison, Rebecca Hart, comes from a Seattle journalist who tracked down the yoga studio, respectfully, without publishing her address or her legal situation, in June 2022. She asked the studio manager if Rebecca was still teaching. The manager said yes. Is she okay? The journalist asked. The manager paused. She seems, I don't know, she seems the same. She's been quiet. She's still here. She's still here. That's the last thing we know. Not happy, not unhappy, not redeemed, not condemned. Just still there, living the life she chose. There is a version of this story where Claire Morrison is a villain. She abandoned 2 children who needed her. She let them grow up without a mother. She let her husband spend his life wondering if she was dead. She had the means, eventually, to reach out. She made a choice, every single year for 19 years, not to. That is not nothing. that is not forgivable, maybe. There is a version of this story where Claire Morrison is someone who saved her own life, where the alternative, staying, suffocating, slowly disappearing inside a life she never chose, would have been its own kind of damage. Where the mental health struggles she described to Dr. Walsh were not weaknesses, but symptoms of a deeper incompatibility between the person she was and the role the world had assigned her. Where running was survival. Both of these things can be true. That's the part that doesn't resolve. Nathan Morrison kept a child's drawing on his kitchen wall for 19 years. Was that love? Was that denial? Was that the most faithful thing a father has ever done, or the saddest? Lily Morrison waited 19 years and got an answer that isn't an answer. She put the drawing on her shelf instead of the wall. Is that letting go? Is that holding on? Is there a difference? Connor Morrison asks, "What do I do with that?" He's asking you. He doesn't know the answer. Neither do I. Neither do you. That's why this story stays with you after it's over. That's the whole point. She's still out there, teaching yoga in Seattle, living the life she chose. Connor and Lily are still out there too, carrying something that has no resolution. And now, so are you. If you want more stories like this one, subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.